G'day, mate. Welcome back to Factorio with me, Jetty, or possibly welcome to Factorio with me, Jetty. This could be the first episode you're watching of this series, at which point, good news, you've pulled in for a half episode. This is a weekly recap episode. I do these every week. Reason I do these every week is occasionally, maybe like you, it could be a brand new first time you've seen the series. You could be here because somebody shared the video with you, at which point I have a weekly recap episode, sort of cover what's happened last week. It's very, very quick and easy to watch. This is episode 90½, being week 15 recap. It's much quicker and much easier to watch 14 recap episodes to catch up with the series than it is to try and watch the last 89 episodes before this. 89 episodes takes a little while. 14 episodes, not quite nearly as long. So this is a weekly recap episode. At the same time, I'm going to actually explain what this series is. This series is a homage to you, the subscriber, the viewer, whatever you happen to be. I'd really appreciate it if you were a subscriber, and right now I'm going to tell you why you should be a subscriber. When this channel hit 5,000 subscribers, which was a little while ago now, but when the channel hit 5,000 subscribers, I want to do something to pay homage to the subscriber. Those that have actually clicked the subscribe button, support the channel like very, very quickly and easily by watching the videos. Click the subscribe button, hopefully sharing it with a friend. And also don't forget, click that like button. So what I want to do is I want to launch something for every subscriber, but only having 5,000 subscribers, launching 5,000 rockets would be pretty boring. Series will be over and done with. As you can see, we're already up to 20,000 rockets up here. What I want to do instead is I want to launch something a little bit bigger, a little bit better. What I want to actually launch is a SpaceX spaceship inside Factorio. Now, SpaceX, in case you haven't heard of it, it's like an alternate to the end game. Rather than just launching a satellite and calling the game good as done, woohoo, voila, we put our satellite up into space, we can call it there. This actually requires you to launch some components to build a spaceship up in space to then get your bum home. In case you're late for dinner, your brother's getting married, whatever it happens to be. Either way, your little engineer has been on the planet for far too long, and now you need to get yourself home. So it does require a couple of components. Components it requires, going down the list, is a protection field, obviously, because you're going to be flying around space. It's good to have some shields. Fusion reactor. Fusion reactor is very important to have some power. A habitation. Habitation is good to have somewhere to live in. Life support, of course, requires, pretty important out in space. Astrometrics, so we can see the stars and make sure we can navigate our way home. Command center to make sure we have somewhere to sit so we can actually pilot the damn thing home. A couple of fuel cells, that is a primary and a spare, because it's always good to have a spare out in space. 4 lots of thrusters so you can control the ship whilst you're out in space as well. 10 hull components to bolt the whole thing together, and then of course a fast and light drive, because you are so late for dinner at this point. You need to get home before the wife finds it, before the wife manages to get hold of you first and wring your neck. So with all that said, I need to launch a complete SpaceX spaceship for every single subscriber. As you can see, I'm up to all of 820 launches at this stage, but we are launching slowly, faster and faster and faster. The launch is actually currently disabled at this point, but I will be turning them on during this episode. So what's required to make a SpaceX spaceship? Because just launching a satellite, in a vanilla game, looks fairly expensive the first time you come upon it. But then again, you realize after a couple of playthroughs, a megabase or two, they're fairly cheap. I have built a 15 rocket per minute before in vanilla. I actually will link that up in the top right hand corner in case you're looking for something to watch whilst you're waiting for tomorrow's episode to come out. I have no idea how many episodes that was, because obviously I didn't look it up before I just mentioned it right now. But I did make a 15 rocket per minute base in vanilla already, so I wanted something that was going to be a little bit expensive, forced me to make a little bit of a mega base. This is what we're actually doing. So going through the list, we need a fusion reactor. We need a protection field, which is at the top of our list, which requires 100 energy shield Mark IIs. Don't forget, each energy shield Mark II requires 10 energy shield Mark Is, along with a couple of boost circuits, a couple of low density structures, all that sort of stuff. It gets fairly expensive. Going through the list as well, we have the fusion reactor. The fusion reactor is actually the thing that's been holding up the base at the moment, which requires 100 portable fusion reactors. Don't forget, each portable fusion reactor requires 200 blue circuits and 50 low density structures. So, fairly expensive item. Going on to the habitation. Habitation is always very, very important. Again, pretty expensive item, which goes into the life support. Life support is a more expensive item because now we're actually adding productivity modules into the list of things that we need to actually build and then launch off to space. Don't forget, once it's off in space, you don't really get to spend those productivity modules. So, fairly expensive items. We move on to the astrometrics, which hopefully I get the right one. Yeah, I do. That's, again, fairly expensive. That's a whole lot of blue circuits with launching off into space, along with some low-density structures. And don't forget the 50 speed modules because, the mod hates us. To go with that, we need the command center. The command center gets super, super expensive. We start launching 50 of each of the different modules off to space as well at the same time, which moves us on to the fuel cells. Fuel cells are over here. These are pretty cheap. I don't mind these. It's pretty annoying to have 500 rocket fuel launched off of space, but don't forget, every single time you normally build a rocket, it does cost 1,000 rocket fuel. So, a couple of 500 rocket fuel thrown into an item, not so bad. We do move on to the thrusters. Thrusters are, again, not so expensive until you realize you need to have 4 of them, so that's 200 speed modules you're launching off into space. Finally, we have the hull components. Again, not too bad, apart from the fact you need 10 of them. That's 1,000 steel and 2,500 low-density structures. Very, very, very expensive. Before we go into the fast and light drive, the fast and light drive is the super, super duper duper expensive item, but it's very, very important because, as I did cover, you're already either late for dinner or late for the brother's wedding, either or both maybe. So yeah, it's very important that you get home in a great big hurry. Hence, I'm putting a fast and light drive on the back of every single subscriber ship. As I said, these are for every single subscriber of the channel. That is, every subscriber currently, every future subscriber, whilst the series goes, blah, 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 blah. So if you click subscribe button right now, you will actually get your very own spaceship as well. Now, the important things I need to add to that is what I'm actually doing is I'm using the YouTube API to pull down people's YouTube names. So you will actually get a ship with your name up on it, which is very, very important. On top of that, I get to say your name during one of these episodes, whatever episodes you happen to get launched in, and you also get your name down the comment section. Description. Down in the description below until I run out of description space, at which point they'll probably end up as the first comment of the video. So you also get me to say your name out loud or butcher your name out loud, all depends on how you look at it. So, there is a certain amount of prestige that comes along with being a subscriber of the channel, and definitely being able to point out to mum, dad, grandpop, whoever it happens to be, that here is your 5 seconds of fame. You are, in fact, at that stage, a official YouTuber because you appeared in a YouTube channel, YouTube video, and you had your name said out loud in a YouTube video. You can't argue with that. For the effort of scrolling down a little bit, clicking that subscribe button at the same time, clicking the subscribe button, it should say subscribed. If it doesn't say subscribed, you're doing it wrong. If it does say subscribed, the little like button should be blue. If it's not blue, again, you're doing it wrong. So once you've done both those things, you can then wait for your turn to be launched. At that point, you can then, of course, obviously be able to say, hey, mum, dad, look at this video. I'm officially mum, dad, grandpop. I'm officially a YouTuber. I've had my 5 seconds of fame in a YouTube video. You can't argue with that. All it costs you is one little click of the mouse. At the same time, I'm also launching off supporters. Now, supporters are those that go above and beyond as far as we're all concerned. They are the ones that realize that, hey, I'm paying $15 a month for Netflix, and I watch, in my personal case, I probably watch all of about 10 hours worth of Netflix per month, and I pay $15 for that privilege. By the same token, you might be sitting down watching these episodes every single day of the week, which I do admit range from like half hour long to 30 minutes long. We'll call it an hour long for easy maths. That's 30 hours worth of entertainment per month, and you're paying a lot more for Netflix. Now, you have a couple of options, and options are always good. Supporters are always appreciated. Supporters come in 3 different varieties. We actually have them written up here on the map, and we're going to go from right to left. So we have YouTube members. YouTube members are those that wish to support the channel directly through YouTube. What you can do is you can go to the main channel of the page, or you click the link up in the top right-hand corner and choose to support the channel directly through YouTube. So what you're actually doing is you're pledging to YouTube, hey, I'll give you a couple of bucks. Please pass this straight to JD because, look, I love his content. I really, really enjoy everything he does. He actually provides me more entertainment than what I'm paying for Netflix every month. So I'd like to help him out. Your second option, which is probably your cheapest if you happen to have Amazon Prime. If you happen to be paying for Amazon Prime already, not that I actually recommend it, because as an Australian, Amazon Prime is really, really not worth it because Amazon's far too overpriced. But I know for a lot of places, a lot of other places in the world, Amazon is the go-to place for when you want to do shopping. So a lot of people are paying for Amazon Prime already. If you have Amazon Prime, you can and I can't link this directly on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like me recommending Twitch, but you can actually scroll down the description all the way down to the bottom. Down the bottom, you will find a link to my Twitch channel. If you link your Twitch account with your Amazon account, these are the two important things, because Amazon actually owns Twitch, but you have to link the accounts anyway, and you already have an Amazon Prime subscription, you actually get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month, which means you can then turn around and say, hey, Amazon, although I'm paying you whatever I happen to be paying you every month, I would actually like you to take some of that money that I'm paying you and give it directly to JD. More importantly, it takes money out of Amazon's very, very big pockets and puts a little bit in my very, very small pocket. And that I do appreciate. These are a list of the current Twitch subscribers I have launched. There are more to come. Obviously, when you become a supporter, you also get your name up on this little list, and you get a bigger and better rocket, which we're going to cover in a second. Last option you have is you can become a Patreon member. Patreon members, again, I can link that up the top right hand corner, and you probably saw a little pop up down the bottom left. I think it is left. It is. I'm going to do this now and then edit in later. But yes, you can also become a Patreon member. Patreon member, very, very different. This one happens directly through YouTube. I have no control over those prices. That one happens directly through Twitch. I have no control over those prices. These ones happen directly through Patreon, and I get to choose the prices there. So, again, going back to that Netflix analogy, you're paying Netflix, say, $15 a month. I mean, you've got to work out how many hours worth of entertainment you get out of Netflix. Patreon starts at $2. You've got to say, every month, do I get enough entertainment out of JD to pledge $2 to him once a month? You got to take that into consideration. Like, cost of a chocolate bar, cost of a cup of coffee, a lot more than $2 generally. Is JD worth $2 a month? So, if you say yes to any of those three, so you want to yes to any of those three and you want to support the channel, I do very much appreciate it. At the same time, you get a bigger and better spaceship. So you actually get a supporter spaceship. Well, actually, technically, you get two spaceships. You get one that you can, I don't know, tie to the back of the first spaceship and drag home for the missus who you're late for dinner, so hopefully she doesn't kill you because you brought her home a whole spaceship. You get a supporter spaceship. Supporter spaceship is generally about 10 times expensive as the basic one. So rather than using a fusion reactor Mark 1, I have to use a fusion reactor Mark 2 very, very quickly. Fusion reactor, which I can never remember the price of, costs 4 normal fusion reactors. So now we're talking 200 fusion reactors compared to 100 fusion reactors. Same really exists all the way along. The very, very quick and easy one to look at is the fuel cell. The fuel cell, just a quick reminder, is 100 steel plate, 100 processing units, 100 low density structures with 500 rocket fuel. When we jump up to a supporter fusion fuel cell, it goes to 200 processing units, twice as expensive. 200 low density structures, twice expensive, 1,000 nuclear fuel, because as a supporter you do deserve a little bit of a premium ship, so you do get a premium ship. We loaded it with nuclear fuel instead to make it go extra fast. At the same time, you do get titanium plate rather than normal steel, because you're a supporter. I appreciate everything you do, and at the same time, I do give you a bit better quality ship. As we can see, going through these very, very quickly, most of the prices are doubled. In some cases, like 50 speed module 3s to 10 speed module 4s, it's about 60 speed module 3s in this one. So a little bit more expensive for all the items. The only thing you don't get a better item of is a better fast and light drive, because I'm already putting top quality fast and light drives in every single spaceship, because it's very important that everybody gets home on time for dinner, and I don't want anybody to be shot by their partner for arriving home late for dinner, because it is possible you happen to be female and you happen to be rushing home to the husband, or maybe you're a man running home to another man, or a woman running home to another woman. I don't know, no bias here, but I am putting in the most high quality parts in, or the most high quality fast and light drives in every single spaceship, just to make sure people are home as fast as possible. In saying all that, the point of the series is we are launching a rocket for every single subscriber. At the same time, I am launching a special rocket for every single supporter as well. And this is all controlled by our lovely circuitry here. I do want to launch another supporter. So this will turn this rocket silo on for just a second. At the same time, if we run across here really, really quickly, hopefully I can catch the rest of the launches. And I'll also run all these rocket silos at the same time, which lets me bring in another supporter that I can mark off for this particular episode. We're going to bring in Turtle. Turtle is a Twitch subscriber, hence he goes on the Twitch list, so I need to craft him up some steel plates and put his name into the lovely name sequence, which we're going to dump down there. And he joins the list. On top of that, one of the other perks of being a subscriber or a supporter of the channel means you also have a chance of becoming a random train station. So I've actually got another mod installed that puts names of supporters in to become train stations. So if we go down to this one, we have Rick, Vember, Hotex Page, and Take Me NL. These are just outpost stations, so they're boring. Over here we have P. Sullivan, I'm That Guy Jason, and Ollybot. Who do we have over here? We have Dark Matter, Joey Messy Pants, Scott D11, and Saltland. So you also have a chance, as I said, of becoming a random train station, at which point, you know, you get to support the channel at the same time, random train station. To top it all off, if I just turn these back on, you can also have a chance of becoming an item in the game. So in the case of, like, you know, a lab. That's Sir, I actually know that's Sir JMO. Mod does not like spaces. I need to go through and alter some of the names so it comes up properly. But you know, we've got Nulls here, we've got Muppet. Muppet's over here. I do know Muppet is also there he is right there, a Patreon supporter. He's actually the second Patreon rocket I launched. But yeah, as we can see, if I mouse over each of these, they have names that you probably haven't seen inside. Oh, there's Turtle. There's Turtle. He's also a lab. You have names that you probably haven't seen inside Factorio before. It's because we're actually launching, like I said, launching supporters off into space. Well, launching supporters in this, launching supporter ships. I'll get there eventually. Launching supporters at the same time. You also can randomly be chosen to have your name as a Roboport, a lab. Assemblers don't get names, do they? No. Roboport, lab, train station, whatever else it happens to be in the game. So that's their quick recap. Quickie says, knowing it took full well 15 minutes to go through all that recapping, but there's a lot of recapping that has to be done sometimes. On top of all that, I do need to mention that down the description for the first time ever, there is a map save. Reason I put a map save in is occasionally I like putting in map saves for people because I do have a lot of people ask me for different blueprints of different things I have built. I don't generally include blueprints of different things that I have built because a prime example over here is we have our green circuit build. This little build here, this is on the 5th version, I think, of this particular build. It's been upgraded, it's been changed, it's been modified, all those sorts of things. Because it's constantly changing and constantly upgrading, I don't like including blueprints as a series continuing. Generally, when I get to the end of a series or at certain points through a series, I do sometimes offer save files. I know a lot of people have asked me to just put up a save file for every single episode, but in saying that, every single save is around about 50 meg currently, and I actually host the saves on my own personal Google Drive, which means if you go look at this series in 6 months' time, or in the case of my 015 series, like 3 years later, you can still actually grab that save and load it up in a version 15, or maybe you can migrate it up to a version 16 of Factorio, in case you want to look at something, or in my case, actually need to pull some old blueprints out of it for this series, because yeah, I couldn't find my original blueprints, and they still worked in version 17, 18. We're in 18 now. Well, there you go. So yeah, I do host the saves permanently, so they are accessible months and years later. I know there are plenty of places where I could put up a 50 meg file and it would be good for 6 months, a month, whatever it happens to be, and then they'd automatically get deleted by the magic of the internet. But I prefer to host these for good and therefore know that people can access them later. So I don't tend to share blueprints along the way. But there are two things I need to mention. One, you might have noticed that down the comments section, you might see comments that are a couple of days before the video went live. It is, again, those supporters, those lovely people up here that do support the channel, do come with a couple of perks. One of the perks is they get my untold gratitude. At the same time, they also get access to any episode the second I have it uploaded. So when I actually have it uploaded to the internet, are they efficiency module 4? Or the 2s? Oh, we need to... Oh, no, actually, I don't need to fix that. Okay. They get access to the videos as soon as I get them up and live. So normally it takes like a Friday Facts that I do with Mojo every single week, generally between recording and then uploading and have it live on the internet takes about 4 hours with rendering time, uploading time, all that sort of stuff, from the second I hit start at the end to the moment it's actually on the internet ready to go. These, because they record them in batch, they take a couple of days. Well, they normally take a couple of days to go from recording to editing to rendering to uploading. So when they're up and live, they do go they do go out to the supporters first, who have access to the videos for 24, 48 hours first, sometimes a little bit longer. And then they get to do two things. They get to watch the videos in case I've dramatically screwed something up. At the same time, anytime I have actually promised to put in blueprints. So we do see over here, I have these lovely solar blueprints that actually are past due for a swipe of an upgrade planner. I have these lovely solar blueprints, which are actually included down the description, but when I first uploaded the video, I definitely did forget to put the solar blueprint in the description and had the lovely supporters remind me, not once, not twice, but 3 times before I actually got around to remembering to put the solar blueprint in the actual description for you guys. At the same time, like any other time I've promised to put it in a blueprint, like you'll actually find Jetty's Spaghetti Cookbook down there in the description as well. It's a very, very early base to, get you through all the basic sciences. Again, I had to be reminded a couple of times to do that because the time between recording and saying I'll do something and then actually being on the internet where I can actually put a link in the description is a couple of hours to a couple of days. Consequently, I'm really bad at remembering to do these things. So, back to the topic at hand. Supporters do get early access to the videos. Same time, they get the pleasure of proof watching things and seeing the early screw-ups. At the same time, they also get to remind me to do these sorts of things, like put stuff down the description. Which also means that you guys definitely get a end copy that has a description that is complete. The other perk they also get is if they want a blueprint. If they want a blueprint of, say, these sciences, which is actually something we need to talk about in a moment, these sciences are what I built this week. If they want a copy of these blueprints, rather than me trying to get into the game, copy out the blueprint, put it somewhere else, remove all the erroneous belts that I've now shoved in and around the build and all that sort of stuff, make it neat and tidy, they can actually just say, hey, Jetty, I'd really like to save for episode, say, 68. Say they're behind, they're only up to episode 68, or hell, maybe they're even up to episode 96. They say they want episode 96 because they impressed about some giant build that I did, in episode 95 or 96 or whatever it happens to be. Or maybe they're just really, really grumpy because I've missed a pipe and I haven't fixed it 5 episodes later. They can, by all means, they can actually ask me can I please have a copy of whatever episode it happens to be, because they're all saved on my hard drive, and then rather than me having to find some sort of hosting service, I can then just give them the file via Discord, and then they can go in and blueprint whatever they want. So that is a perk. Again, if you wish to become a supporter of the channel, you can get access to the special supporters lounge of Discord, early access to videos. Same time, you can ask me for any single file you want, make your own blueprints, because it saves me time, it saves me a lot of time, because I was doing it at one stage and I worked out that I was spending probably about 3 hours per week making blueprints of things I'd done in game to then send people a blueprint string. It was a lot of time back then, and the channel obviously has grown significantly in the last couple of years. So back to what this episode's actually about. This episode's about recapping what we did this week. So this week we went and upgraded science. We upgraded science from what we had existingly on a bus, because this is still running a bus base, to something a lot larger, a lot more robust. So we're starting at the end of the bus because this is pretty much where life ends as far as the base is concerned. So we have our lovely machine over here that's making hull components, that's obviously not getting loaded with low density structures nearly fast enough. Can I just cool. We're just going to give that a quick upgrade whilst I happen to be here. So yeah, this is making our hull components, which, don't forget, we are launching off 10 at a time. I'm not actually worried that that's not getting fed fast enough. So yeah, it's making our hull components 70, 50, 35. Yeah, it's probably not building fast enough. So making our hull components, there was over here a portable fusion reactor machine. We actually removed this week because that was the other thing that was causing problems with the base, and actually causing the base to slow down a little bit. We have our Shield Mark 1s, which, as you can see, are eating a whole bunch of materials, outputting into our Shield Mark 2s. There's only 3 in stock because that's probably going to become our next bottleneck. Protection fields, because we are roughly at the stage where we're launching one standard SpaceX launch per minute. So as you can see, these guys are going off non-stop. We can see this number down here is going to keep counting up as the episode continues. So yeah, we left these as they are. We're also making battery Mark 1s and battery Mark 2s. I can't even remember why we're making these in bulk, but we're definitely making them in bulk for some reason. I think they're required as some part of Factorio Extended, which is another one of the mods we're actually running. Factorio Extended Plus to give us bigger and better assembly machines, obviously, bigger and better furnaces. At the same time, it gives us access to the speed module Mark 4, Mark 4s, Mark 5s, and Mark 6s. They're actually launching to, get a lot of these components built. At the same time, we are launching some of those off into space for our supporter ships. So we also left our speed module Mark 1 and our efficiency module Mark 2 crew assemblers here. These are actually here because they're required for, again, Factory Extended components. So we do require having some of these built and in stock, even if they sit there most of the time idle. And then we had a decent amount of space we could start putting science in. So the very first thing I had to put in was a why for you not run. You not run because you need to do that. Cool. I did need, this episode we did make science. So I started putting in yellow science first. Obviously, it's the first one on the... What the? Oh, that's not good. Okay, more problems to sort out. I did start making, as I said, yellow science first. Yellow science is pretty much a self-contained build. It does pull some basic items off the bus, one of them being plastic, which I've just realized we have. And yeah, plastic. One of them being plastic, which I've just realized we have none of, along with steel, green circuits, copper, so on and so forth. Makes its own yellow science. What's that? High-tech? Utility? Utility. They keep renaming it on me. Makes its own utility science, which we bust out and runs over here to purple science, where it joins onto the same belt over here and goes up to our labs. We did also, of course, have solar in the way, which I moved across. And as you can see from the kinks of the belt, we just kinked the belts across because I still do need to make solar to upgrade our lovely solar farm. Our solar farm is slowly getting here. It was definitely commented by lots and lots of people in the comment section below that I should start mass producing solar to get rid of the nuclear waste farm that's down here, if I can zoom in close enough, to get rid of all this, because this is probably costing me a significant amount of UPS. Also creating a whole bunch of nuclear waste. Not that I mind, because we recycle most of it. And considering how much rocket fuel we need, it probably doesn't hurt in the long run. On top of that, we had to fix up our fusion reactors, which we'll come back to shortly. Next thing we actually had to do was make a purple science. So purple science is here. One of the things I do need to note is these are all stacked recipes. So if we come down to our electric furnaces here, we can see here on the side that what we're actually doing is we have a mod installed that gives us stacked recipes. Think of it as like putting in a whole word is escaping me right at the moment. Pallet loaded in at the same time. So rather than putting like 10 steel, 5 advanced circuits, and 10 stone brick into an assembler and then making a single electric furnace, we're putting 10 steel in, 5 advanced circuits, and 10 stone brick that are all loaded up on a pallet, ready to go, shoving it straight in, and it's providing a pallet load of electric furnaces that are out of the machine, which it then passes on to the next machine to then make purple science, again, a pallet load at a time. The reason we're using this is, one, it cuts down logistics headaches of the sheer amount of stuff that we're making. It turns out we're making around about 2.4K science per minute out of these seven assembly machines is doing around about 2.4 thousand science per minute. It is an awful lot out of 7 machines. It is also contributed by the fact that we're using productivity module 6s with beacons Mark 3, which pass on 100% of the speed bonus of the modules in the beacon, and this is still running on a speed module 3 build. I can upgrade it to 6. We are going to upgrade it to 6, but with the severe lack of low density structures caused by the severe lack of plastic, I probably need to fix that before we start worrying about upgrading this stuff over here. So as I said, is making a ridiculous amount of science. We have our purple science build, obviously our yellow science build, which moves us on to blue science, good old chemical science. Same story, we're making engines on site to... we're making pipes on site to make engines on site to make the blue circuits. We are obviously bringing in sulfur from the oil base all the way over to our left, and also directly importing the red circuits because we've got a separate red circuit build that was already replaced. That brings us on to red and green science. We're making the belts and the inserters on site, shoving them straight in the machines, pumping them straight out the end, and also doing the same with red sides. Again, compressed recipes the whole way. We're putting in a pallet load of copper with a pallet load of iron gears and making a pallet load of red science. Finally comes out, most of the sciences come out here. Purple and yellow actually run up on this side. And we combine them with military science. Military science didn't get an upgrade. The only thing I did was I changed it over to a stacked recipe, change it over from normal science packs to actually stack them into the boxes. So we take in normal military science and we put out a stack, a pallet of science at a time, which we then run into a storage chest just so we can buffer up a significant amount of it, because I don't want to upgrade this build. This build's slow, it's crappy, but it's perfectly fine because we're really not using it. So yeah, we're pumping that stuff out. It's then running up here, joining in with our space science, of course, from our lovely rockets, which, don't forget, do provide space science. The way they provide space science is every single time I complete a full SpaceX build and launch the very last item, being the fast and light drive, which we're about to launch off right now, I get one space science. Can I just quiet down? Thank you. I get one space science for every subscriber that's not currently launched. So if you take the total subscriber count, which I will remind you if you just scroll down a little bit, you do get the total subscriber count of the channel. Subtract how many I've actually launched, and that's the amount of space science that gets kicked out of these rocket silos every single time I do a launch. So it is a significant amount. In saying that, I am burning through it fairly quickly. We're doing mining productivity like 189. It's not exactly a cheap research at 94,000 a piece. I do need to catch up on my normal mining. Yeah, normal mining productivity. Let's take it up to 100,000. So I do need to do just a few research of the normal mining productivity. At the same time, like, you know, worker robot cargo size 12 is fairly expensive. Worker robot speed is super expensive. So we are at the very expensive end of our science builds, which means that, yes, if you guys click the subscribe button, you add one to the total, you will get your own very important spaceship as the series continues. On top of that, you also help the channel out, or help the series out, by providing just a little bit more rocket science or space science, depending on what you call it. I like calling it rocket science because it comes from a rocket silo. Providing one more rocket science for every single launch I get until I actually launch off your spaceship, which could be soon, could be a while, but either way helps in the short term. So, yeah, we did have a lot of rocket science, and we had to start buffering it up because I wasn't burning it off fast enough. But because of diminishing returns, the more launches I get, the less science I'm going to get. So we do have a backup satellite here that can launch if these boxes start getting very poor, which I want to replace. Yeah, so we do have a backup satellite for when things start getting very poor, which is set to launch off under... If we get down to 20,000, which is going to happen sooner or later, actually, because we're definitely counting down. Like, it looks like a lot, but the numbers are going down over the last 2 episodes to a fraction of what they were. So we are launching off rockets very quickly. As I said, you know, if you click the subscribe button, you help out the series. At the same time, you provide a little bit more space science to keep these series running a little bit longer, or at least get me a little bit more research. Then we come up to our labs. We did work out that 3 labs, just 3 of them, because of the productivity module 6s, with the beacon Mark 3s, with the speed module Mark 6s, make this poor little lab. Let's pick the middle one. Nas little lab makes him work at a research speed of 288.4, being a 14,000% research speed. So yeah, 3 of these little labs actually chew 1.2k science with just 3 of them running, and as you can see, the idea is we take this up to 3.6k science. That's the hope, that's the intention. Obviously, you can see yellow science a little bit behind. but it also means we can burn off, some of our space science and actually get a bit more research out of this base. So this was one of the big projects for this week, trying to get science completely rebuilt. All the old science got ripped out, apart from military. We completely rebuilt the whole thing. We also rebuilt the labs. The other thing we tried to work on was these guys, these lovely portable fusion reactors. As you can see, they don't have exactly a long crafting time. It's only 10 seconds, and I have wax speed module 6s in there, so this poor little machine has a crafting speed of 23.4, being 680% bonus. So it is crafting long at a pretty decent nick. If we look up fusion reactor, we're making about 144 per minute until we run out of components. So we are producing them at a very, very high rate. But we do need a fusion reactor for every single SpaceX rocket, and a fusion reactor is 100 of the portable fusion reactors. So we need to maintain at least 100 of these guys per minute to get to one SpaceX launch per minute, which is very, very awkward to do. So yeah, this actually had a big shortage of processing units, along with the low density structures. Low density structures we actually started bringing in just last episode via bots, via trains, via this little outpost out here that makes a crap ton of low density structures in quite big volume. But as you can see by my sheer shortage of requesting them in base and they're not showing up, means I'm not making enough low density structures. So we need to work out how to fix that. At the same time, we can obviously see from my lack of plastic on the plastic belt, I need to do something about plastic as well. So 2 things we need to fix next week. But one of the things we did manage to do is we did manage to get more processing units down this machine. This machine was being fed from these 6 blue circuit machines here, which are producing a grand total of 0.9. That seems wrong. That seems wrong. Why are you producing 0.9? I thought you produced 1 point something. Oh. Nope. You are meant to produce well, there we go. This guy produces 0.1. We're just going to stick with one of them. Okay, so these guys produce... Actually, let's stick with all 3. These guys produce 2.73 processing units per second. Again, they are a stacked recipe, so again, think of it as a pallet load. So it produces, what's that, around about 75 processing units per second, roughly, because they are stacks of 25. Spits these out, brings them down here, and then uncompresses them, changing the icon across from the oldish icon to the newish icon, because the mod hasn't been fully updated yet. So yeah, spits them out onto the belt as a uncompressed item. Great for any assembler that needs to use an uncompressed version. We're doing the exact same here, like right in front of the machine. So yeah, was producing a decent amount of blue circuits. A lot of those were going onto the bus. Some were actually going on the bus also as a compressed item. And whatever couldn't be used was being kicked out sideways and fed into this machine. This machine also had a dedicated processing unit machine feeding them in, hopefully to keep up production. Wasn't nearly good enough. So we actually upped the ante earlier in the week and gave it 6 machines to run to make this run a little bit faster. Not nearly fast enough still, so during the week we actually just upgraded things slightly and dumped another 6 machines over here, dumping into the main bus line, which, as I remind you, does have that kick out line that comes over here if the main bus is full, which the main bus is full most of the time, which was still not enough. So then we went overboard and we added lots more of them. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 extra assemblers we had producing blue circuits, which is a total of, I have no idea, but Max Rate Calculator does 16.5 per second, which if we ring up a calculator is 6.5 multiplied by 25 to bring them out of a pallet state into a normal state. 400 processing units per second, which we're shoving into this machine as fast as possible to produce those portable fusion reactors to make sure the base keeps running. I need to have how many of those? 2, 4, 6. Yeah, the base has just got a small issue with it went out of sync, so I need to manually restart it by feeding these in and launching them off. And if I use different silos, then the main set of silos will kick back in. So like I said, that was our second big project for the week. At the same time, we did have a small problem with acid, which, as you can see with these buffer tanks I have along our main acid line, which is basically just going to blue circuits at this stage, we definitely fixed. Each one of these tanks has 100,000 acid in it, and after some talking to the sulfuric acid machines, and also working out that by removing, I think it was like 5 pipe segments, we actually managed to increase our acid output by like 20%. Just because pipes and throughput issues, not really throughput issues, more of a pipes and flow issues, probably more accurate. I strongly recommend, if you're curious about pipes and stuff and exactly what I'm talking about, go back and watch the last episode, because that's where it actually happened. But yeah, did work out that we're going to increase our acid by upgrading to bigger and better chemical plants, at the same time throwing bigger and better modules in the whole build, and at the same time throwing in bigger and better beacons and way better speed modules to make sure we had more than enough acid to keep the whole base running. At the same time, we upgraded what are these things again? Upgraded batteries, batteries, just gave the pipes a general upgrade. And I'd really like to upgrade the rest of oil, but we'll have to worry about that next week, because we definitely have a shortage of plastic. And it looks like it's not a shortage in the amount of plastic we can make, but it's a shortage in how quickly we can get that compressed and onto a single belt, which is a sort of a sign of how much resources this base goes through and how ridiculous it is. Like, we have a little gear machine that could, which only uses, oh, it's all compressed now, uses 7 times 25. What's that? 175 iron in per second to produce 250 gears out per second, or some ridiculous number like that. So, the base, even though it has what looks like a very simple bus, is consuming a ridiculous amount of materials. We also, made use of our lovely build down here that's making speed module Mark 6s. It's definitely got something wrong with its ratios, and I think, again, it's going to be an acid problem. It's confirmed it's definitely an acid problem. This lovely build down here is making a grand total of like 8 speed modules 6s per second for the size of the build that it is. That's all red circuits. That's belts and belts and belts and belts and belts of green circuits. Yeah, the base is slightly ridiculous, but that sort of is the whole point of the series. The plan of this series is to make probably the biggest base I've ever made. Hence why I set up myself a very large goal. But with all that said, I should probably end the episode here, because I've gone way too long anyway already for a week for a recap episode. So I do thank you. One, if you've watched the video up until this point, thank you very much. Second thing I need to say is, if you wish to keep watching, you get to watch me ruin everybody's names. So we're going to start from the bottom of the list and work our way to the top. We have Turtle, yeah, of course. We also have Daniel Rains. We have JD Scott. We have Shitballs. Yes, I will pronounce the name as best as possible, as long as I don't get hit by YouTube for saying bad words. We have Isaac Kite. It's right at the end of the video. It's okay. We have John Shuttlewood. We have McCaybra. We have Spenny Derp. Spenny Derp is actually a Patreon supporter and also a Twitch subscriber. So he's going to get 2 rockets as well. I don't think we've launched him. Nope. So he's still got 2 rockets to come. Plus, of course, this is his subscriber rocket. This is the free one he got by clicking the subscribe button. Yeah, Spenny Derp's been actually a really long supporter of the channel. Very much appreciated. And this list is scrolled again. There we go. We have the Corrales. We have TC John. We have Lewis Gabb. We have Crafter Luke. We have Preston Banks. We have Haru Glory. We have Tom Brower. We have Lubo Lewinsky. We have Kubai Biz, Devin Turner, Umbrella Red Queen, Dark Ninja White Ninja. There we go. Jake Burnett, Travis W, Even Mercy, Nathan Waring, Freak V, Lana Ventrulli, Robert Moyo, Morlock B, and Twister Fate with a Kansas Damnion thrown in the end of the list. I need to thank every single one of you guys for clicking that subscribe button. Your intergalactic spaceship is on its way. It may be delayed slightly due to intergalactic shipping times. At the same time, I do need to point out that this is the end of week 15 at 850 launches, which is about to count up in a second. I'm willing to bet unless it goes out of sync. And at the end of last week, we ended at 580 launches. So what's that? 300 and something in a week. That's not too bad, I'd say. But yeah, with all that said, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. There's that other launch I was talking about. And I do need to thank Asker Hermendaz, Hermendaz, I can't pronounce it, but I can hear it in my head. That counts, right? For also clicking that subscribe button. His intergalactic spaceship is definitely on the way as well. With all that said, I thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you're enjoying. This is a weekly recap episode. I'll see you tomorrow for your next dose of daily Factorio videos. And until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you're enjoying. I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.